Hello, good evening and warm welcome to the Hot Seat. This evening our guest is a man who has made a mark in helping to highlight a section of the differently abled and has made a significant contribution towards peace and sustainable reconciliation on a global scale. We are privileged to have with us the Government of Japan's Special Envoy for Reconciliation Myanmar and the Chairman of the Nippon Foundation, His Excellency Yohei Sasakawa. Good evening, sir, and very warm welcome to you.
Good evening.
And thank you for being on the show.
Not at all.
Your Excellency, welcome back to Sri Lanka, and thank you for the opportunity of this interview. Please share with us your family's link, liking, and friendship with the people of Sri Lanka.
私たちの世代は
People of our generation has received an education that when we lost the World War II, which was 70 years ago, to the United States, we remember, all of us of this generation, that when peace agreement was to be signed in San Francisco, Sri Lanka was the first country to agree to this peace agreement between the United States and Japan. We always owe to Sri Lanka their cooperation and their help to bring us back to a peaceful world. And of course, when our emperor, the previous emperor, the Showa emperor we call him, was attending the ceremony of the crowning of the Queen of Great Britain, and when he passed through Colombo, the people of Sri Lanka showed so much love and affection towards our country. Of course, Japan has been helped a great deal by your country when we were rebuilding our country, economically and otherwise. And we feel that it is our obligation and it is really our role that we must remember this and to be able to thank Sri Lanka for what we have received. And the first project since my father's days was to free Sri Lanka of the disease leprosy. And I have inherited this great work from my father, and I have continued on to this day to eliminate leprosy from your country, Sri Lanka.
The people of Sri Lanka are 6 years into a post-conflict situation after 30 years of terrorism. You, Excellency, have extensive expertise in matters of reconciliation. What can Sri Lanka learn from your experience in terms of reconciliation of the different communities in our country?
本当に勝って
First, let me give you an introduction to my answer. Of course, I know the Sri Lanka before the conflict that took place in this country, and it was such a beautiful country. And of course, there were direct flights from Japan and bringing many tourists to this most beautiful country in the world, Sri Lanka. And it had many more tourists than Thailand had at that time. And I feel that Sri Lanka is really on its way to being such a country again.
の成果だと思います。まずこれを最初に言わせてください。
Of course, in any conflict and anywhere in the world, we experience that. And there is also a word, a very important word that we often speak about, and that is peace education. Of course, I feel it is very unfortunate, but in every man, deep within our hearts, we have this feeling of hate, this little seed of hate, or maybe more, to put it more wildly, maybe it's jealousy, and that presides in anyone's heart. And of course, we must really have right reasoning to be able to stop this feeling of hate growing in our hearts. And we must be able to have this reasoning, which I feel is very important in every human person. We must have compassion for everybody. We must be able to help people who are in need. We must also be able to have education that teaches children, while they're small, teach them that it is very very, very important to feel these compassions and the feeling of helping through correct reasoning. Unfortunately, there are many, many people who have been hurt, not only physically, but mentally. But even so, I think we must all be future-oriented, and we must also, people in Sri Lanka must really look forward to the future and try to make efforts so that you will be able to bring back that beautiful country that you had before the war. And I want each and every Sri Lankan citizen to feel this way. This is my expectation, and this is my hope for the people of Sri Lanka. And in order to do that, of course, to bring back Sri Lanka to what it was, of course, Japan included, the international community will have to be able to cooperate. We must bring back that beautiful country that all the world was jealous about back to Sri Lanka as soon as possible.
Your father before and you now have a special interest in the elimination of leprosy and have contributed immensely in conjunction with the World Health Organization towards that. In Sri Lanka, I believe that our Minister of Health has invited you to help with an ongoing kidney problem, kidney issue problem in Sri Lanka. Your Excellency, Mr. Sasakawa, how best can you help in this specific issue to do with the kidney problem?
私は医者ではございませんので、今回、
Well, I am not a medical doctor myself, and I have, to be very honest with you, learned about the serious kidney issue that exists in your country for the first time on this very trip. So when I go back to Japan, of course, I would like to make further assessment and further research on this issue, because I have been told, and I know that in many of the countries, the diet change has brought about different types of diseases and different types of health problems. In the olden days, infectious diseases were a major problem, and leprosy was also considered as one of the infectious diseases. But of course, with a change of diet and the way of standard of living, people are now getting different types of problems, health problems, known as the daily lifestyle problems. So I would like to ask you to give me a bit more time so that when I go back, I will be able to assess this whole issue and find out if this is a national problem or if this kidney issue is a specific issue in specific region of your country.
Your Excellency, Japan played a major role in Sri Lanka's peace process, and naturally our people are hoping your visit will encourage the government of Japan and the private sector to have an active participation in post-war Sri Lanka development. Excellency, would you work with your government and indeed your friend, the Honourable Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, in reactivating a donor meeting in Tokyo with the government of Sri Lanka?
大統領が日本を訪問を
First of all, let me just mention that there was a plan for your Honorable President to visit our country much earlier after he took office. But of course, unfortunately, the schedule was not convenient for both countries. But he will actually visit our country after the general election is over. And of course, Japan is 100% prepared to receive the Honorable President. And especially our Prime Minister, Mr. Abe, is waiting for his arrival with much expectation. And of course, Mr. Abe, as you know, has come up with proactive peace diplomacy, and he would like to therefore expand his diplomatic activities in relationship to many countries, including, of course, Sri Lanka. And for us Japanese people, we feel that Sri Lanka is a country to whom we can open our hearts to, and that we can really be very close friends with the country Sri Lanka. And therefore we're waiting for the arrival of your Honorable President, and we do hope that both countries can be future-oriented together so that we can move forward into the future together and build a very strong and fruitful relationship. Having said that, of course, I believe this donor meeting to be reactivated is a diplomatic issue. And if there are proposals from Sri Lanka, of course, there will be a discussion on this issue on the occasion of the visit of your Honorable President. And I am sure that on that occasion, of course, the direction to follow on this issue of reactivating donor meeting will be made more clear.
We'll take a short break and return to the hot seat with His Excellency Yohei Sasakawa shortly. Welcome back to the hot seat, where our guest tonight is the Honorable Yohei Sasakawa. How important is the role of politicians in achieving any particular initiative? For example, the subjects of leprosy and the discriminatory issues surrounding sufferers of leprosy. How important is the role of politicians?
私は政治家になった経験がございませんので。
And I have never been a politician. So I really cannot give you maybe a definite answer, but let me just give you my thought on this. I believe politicians become politicians because they have a huge aspiration of wanting to improve their country and also to give a richer or more affluent life for the people of any particular country. They really, I think, come with a huge aspiration, and this is my understanding of why people come into politics. But of course there are different types of politicians, those that do achieve their aspirations, or those who actually, once they become politicians and have power and authority, they might forget a little bit of the loyalty that they wanted to show to their state, or really to be trusted by the people of that country. There are politicians that tend to forget the aspirations that they had when they became politicians. Of course, the politicians think of today, tomorrow, or maybe 1 year from now, or they might think of the election time, if there is an election that is approaching. And of course, what I feel is very important is that politicians think on a longer term, for example, 10-year, 20-year, 30 years time span, to build a strategy to build the country for which they're working and to help the people who they are from the same country. But unfortunately, they tend to really be more short-sighted, which I feel is really very unfortunate. So I feel that in order to fill that gap, people like ourselves in the non-profit organization or the entire civil society must be able to support the politicians and even come up with strategies from the private sector level to help the politicians achieve the goal that they have started out with. Well, of course, the politicians' influence is very great in any initiative that we do. So we feel that they're a very important part of our programs or initiatives. But I feel that it is also the responsibility of us in the civil society to explain in very much of a detail of the programs, initiatives that we are doing so that we can get cooperation from the politicians. And by doing that, I'm sure there will be no politician that will refuse to cooperate. And they're really a very important part of our initiative. I think the civil society, or we, the people of the country, must use the quote unquote the politicians. I think they are really important collaborators in any initiative that we implement.
Your Excellency, you have taken valuable time off your busy schedule to visit our country and have met with the President of our country. So please share with us, the people, what is it about Sri Lanka that appeals most to you? What appeals most to you?
もうこれはね、冒頭申し上げました
As I mentioned at the very beginning, of course, the people of Sri Lanka and people of Japan are really great friends. There are no barriers of our friendship in between us. We can really, our hearts are communicating and understanding each other. I know that very well. And also, I have already mentioned that this country is the world's most beautiful country. And of course, I come here because I want to see this very beautiful country with people who are really having a huge potential to bring this country back to its beauty and its great capacity that it had before the war.
We'll take another short break and return to the hot seat. Welcome back to the hot seat, where we have a very special guest tonight, His Excellency Yohei Sasakawa, Chairman of the Nippon Foundation. Your Excellency, as a philanthropist and a leader providing global recognition of issues such as leprosy and peace and reconciliation, what message would you have for the youth of Sri Lanka?
私はね、
Of course, in Japan, I am asked to lecture at various different occasions, but of all the lectures, what I love most is talking to young people. And the reason is because the young people know how they can challenge to any issue that confronts them. And at the same time, of course, failure is allowed to the young people. They are free to experience failures because failure is the mother of success. And in addition to that, young people are future-oriented. And of course, they have a strong wish that they want to go on, that they can succeed, that they can do something great. And this is common to all the young people in whatever age they live throughout the world. And I have great expectations to the young people here in Sri Lanka as well as throughout the world.
What is the secret of your success?
私はオフィスで
I spend very little time in my office. In fact, I am traveling 1/3 of the year throughout the country. And but where I travel is in the field. I go to the field, to the ground. And that is my basic principle, because I feel that problems lie in the field, in the ground, and that is where the solutions are also found. Where the problem is where the solutions lie. And of course, you cannot get anything done if you're sitting in an air-conditioned office. You need, when you're out in the field, overflowing passion. You need also patience to be able to overcome any difficulty. You need that energy to be able to confront whatever difficulty comes to you. And you need to persist. You need to be really strongly persistent till you succeed. And these are my 3 basic principles.
How do you deal with failure?
私は自転車
I consider my life as a life, or as a life being on a bicycle, which means that I don't look behind me, I don't look in the past, I don't look at 2 sides, both sides. So I am really only looking in the front, as you would when you're riding a bicycle. And of course, every time I get on this bicycle, I have strong belief in myself and in what I am doing. Of course, I have made lots of small failures, but of course, those failures are something that has really given me still energy to go on and the hope that I will never give up. And this is what my whole life is all about.
It's been a great pleasure, Your Excellency Yohei Sasakawa, having you on the hot seat. And on behalf of our network, News First, the Hot Seat, and the Capital Maharaja organization, Thank you very much, and it's been a great pleasure having you on the show, and we do look forward to welcoming you in Sri Lanka, on our station, on our channel, one more time.
ぜひともお呼びください。喜んできます、日本から。
I'll be more than happy to come back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.